Welcome to the Mango Effect podcast, where every week we explore a range of ideas and inspiration that all culminate in designing the lifestyle that we've always dreamed of. No topics are off limits. We get into the practical, the hypothetical, and the downright juicy stuff. I'm Mindy Rosser, your host and lifestyle cheerleader, and I'm here today to talk about why your lifestyle deserves more of you. And you say, Mindy, what does that actually mean? You're speaking my language, or maybe not quite yet. So how do we actually create a lifestyle where every activity is like a flow trigger that kind of leads into the next? Creating your lifestyle by design does not happen by accident. You don't just wake up one day and figure out, whoa, boom, I have it. I know exactly what my lifestyle should look like. Now I just need to go do it. Usually it starts with figuring out the general idea of the lifestyle that you want, then really testing and trying out various things to see if they are a fit or not. And then you incorporate those things that you love, those things you tried, into your lifestyle one at a time. If they pass the test of time. So it is an iterative process, and I think that's why it's easy to get derailed or go down a rabbit trail or just go with the default setting for our lifestyles and just follow the pattern that is there, that has been there, that we know what the outcome is going to be because we've seen it done, and what we've done in the past we can just repeat and we know we'll get the same result. The thing is, if you want to create an epic lifestyle, when we look at people's lifestyles that we admire, that we wish we could be more like, then we get ideas in our head that it's possible for us. And I think that's a good thing. You're listening to this podcast because you want ideas that are going to help you create a better lifestyle for yourself. And because you're in that mindset, you're going to be more open to trying things. You're going to notice that as a pattern, especially as you start trying new things out and trying to figure out, okay, does this fit? Does this not fit? Do I actually like this? Nah, this definitely is not a fit. So it's funny because recently I'm teaching inside of a program called Building a Second Brain. Highly recommend it. Tiago Forte. I'll put the link in the show notes. Fantastic program, first of all. So I was stoked to be able to, first of all, I went through it last year, and then this year I came back into the program as a mentor. So I'm working with other people trying to build their second brains. Now, I have a little bit of imposter syndrome around that because my second brain is not the most organized. I'm not the most prolific writer. I'm not the most academic. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a PKM, personal knowledge management expert. So the fact that I get to be inside that program, first of all, is pretty amazing, and I'm learning so much from the smart people in there. But I was doing my first mentor session, and basically what we're doing in a mentor session is the students that are a part of this cohort of Building a Second Brain are learning how to start applying these concepts from Building a Second Brain into their own workflows. So I'm explaining the concept, and in doing so, it's funny how we start learning too, right? We teach a concept and then it solidifies it in our own brains, and it helps us work on our own process and understanding of the concept. So that aside, someone actually asked me about my flow triggers because one of the topics we were talking about were some really important questions that I like to ask myself, like some open-ended questions. And one of them was about lifestyle by design. And how do we do that? How do I create a day that just kind of flows from one activity to the next? And so he asked me, he said, how do you get those flow triggers? Is your entire day and life just flow trigger upon flow trigger, where you're doing one activity that kind of leads to the next, that leads to the next, and you're just pretty much flowing throughout your day? And I thought that was really interesting because I did share a bit about how my days flow, but the fact that somebody would ask that question made me go deeper. And I said, you know what? I actually want to think about that a little bit more. I do try to set up my entire lifestyle for flow. But the thing is, when you first start that journey, when you first discover that you want to have all of these flow triggers, if you're curious what flow triggers are, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, if I can say his name correctly, wrote a fantastic book about flow. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. Really, really good book if you're trying to understand flow. It may be a little bit nerdy for some of you who may not jive with his style and approach, but you can just read a summary of the book and kind of get the gist of it. So basically, flowing through our days is a part of lifestyle by design. And to me, you heard me in the last episode, so episode 12, talk about a perfect day and what a perfect day looks like and how things kind of flow from one thing to the next and how it all ties together. So for me, it really is important that I set up my day for flow. And each day can flow a little bit differently depending on what the activities are for the day, what other things I'm expected to do that week. Is this a writing day? Is this a play with the family day? Is this a surf as much as you can day? Is this a creating content day? So there are all these different types of flows that I have to discover for myself, in that you, in whatever work you're doing, whatever family you have, whatever hobbies and activities you enjoy, will have to figure out for yourself as well. So how I like to approach this is really about thinking, okay, overall in the big scheme of things, so taking kind of that zoom out approach, what kind of lifestyle do I want to live? So thinking through what your life vision is. A really good resource for this, you probably, if you listen to the podcast, you'll hear me talk about it a lot, is Lifebook. So Lifebook by John and Missy Butcher. Fantastic program. I'll put the link in the show notes too. They have a really good free masterclass that gives you basically the idea of what a Lifebook is. And you could actually just create your life vision from that masterclass. It's that good. But basically thinking through your entire life. Like, what do you want your lifestyle to be now and in the future? And is your lifestyle now actually going to lead to that future or not? So that's where a lot of us get hung up, because the here and now can feel so pressing. And sometimes we get so caught up in the minutia or in the details or in a problem that we get stuck in these loops. And you know what I'm talking about. Those negative loops or those ruminations. And we just can't even see what that future can be. So we have to be able to step out of that. We have to be able to step out of the day-to-day for a moment and actually set our life vision. And once we have a life vision, then we can back it up from there and say, okay, now that I know where I'm headed in the next 5, 10, 20 years, what do I need to do this year to make that happen? Then what do I need to do this quarter to make one step closer to that happen? Then what do I need to do this month? Then this week? Then this day, this hour, this minute, and so on and so forth. So if you listen to a lot of productivity experts, they will talk about that process, kind of zooming out, a very big picture, and then backing it down into the daily. And I think what happens for a lot of us is we can see, or we have a fuzzy idea of what our life vision is going to be, but we can't really back it all the way down to a successful day that actually leads to that vision. And that's where the tricky part is for a lot of us. And there's a lot of mental hangups that tend to happen. There are a lot of circumstances, some that we can control, some that we cannot, and some that we're still trying to figure out along the way. So it's really challenging to get to that lifestyle by design. So I think what I'm trying to say here is really think through what you want your vision to be. And there are going to be a lot of tough decisions you're going to have to make along the way to stay aligned with that vision. And that part is hard for me. I don't know about you, but for me, that is very, very difficult. As an entrepreneur, I get the, oh, shiny, that looks interesting. Oh, I want to do that too. Oh, yeah, I'd like to surf big waves. Yeah, and I want to start a new van business over here. Oh, but there's revenue streams that I can create that are a little bit more passive if I just invest in real estate. You know, there are all of these things that are clamoring for our attention. And I think something that has come into focus for me over the past couple of years has really been having perspective. And Tiago Forte, awesome guy, I mentioned him already with the Building a Second Brain, but he has this concept called the perspective era. And just in terms of the era that we're living in now, we used to be the information era, used to be the industrial era, and now we're in the perspective era, which is really focused on the people who are going to succeed are those who have a good perspective that can actually get through all the noise, all the clutter, and create something that is worthwhile to them, that is meaningful to them, to their community, to their clients, to their customers. It's all about perspective right now. And that ties into lifestyle by design. It's about our perspectives and how we are looking at our lifestyle. So I'm going to give you an example. So for me, I have a very, very tough time saying no. And I have a lot of trouble with saying no to new clients, new business, new opportunities, new brand awareness tactics, anything that relates to my business and growing it. If it's like, oh, shiny, I'm on it, right? So for me, it's very challenging not to be a workaholic. I love working. I love what I do. I love my clients. I love the people I get to serve. I love the people I get to help. I love my family. But I like to work a lot. And so it really comes down to setting boundaries. And I realize it is good to work a lot. For me, where I'm at right now, I do need to grind to get to where I want to go. There's a lot that needs to happen between here and the lifestyle that I envision, and it's going to take a lot of action. But the part for me that is hard is not necessarily the action and kicking my butt into gear. Sometimes it is really about setting boundaries and prioritizing other aspects besides work. Work always gets the best of me. Like if I'm showing up for the day, it's like, yep, my work, my people, my clients, my customers, my audience, they are going to get the best of Mindy that day. So I have to be very strategic with how much I actually put out and give. It is easy for me to totally burn myself out. I don't know about you, but I know I've talked to a lot of you and you say the same thing, that you are trying to do all the things. And so taking care of yourself and setting appropriate boundaries can be challenging, especially when you have conflicting priorities and different things going on that you really need to take care of. But you also got to take care of yourself. So I'll tell you a personal story that just happened. So I decided, I'm like, okay, Mindy, this Q2 is going to be fantastic. You are going to work on brand awareness. You're going to take up opportunities. You're going to do speaking. You're going to focus on launching. I have some online programs that I'm launching. I have a membership that I'm launching. And I really wanted to focus on all these activities. Plus, I'm traveling and meeting new people, and I'm in a really cool group coaching program to take my business to the next level. So there are all these things. And so I decided to take it all on in April. So here we go. I pretty much crammed kicking off 2 new clients in 1 week, which is a lot for me because it's just me basically and a couple of VAs in my business. I decided to do a launch in that week, multiple webinars, lots of email sequences, tons of follow-up, Facebook Lives, all of the things, plus my normal content creation. Plus I just launched a podcast at this point. And then I also decided to mentor inside a new program. All in the same week. Like it's the first mentor session and I pretty much burnt myself out pretty badly. By the end of the week, I was literally standing at my desk and I was like crying. I had makeup on because I had to do a performance, right? So I'm like getting ready to talk live and I'm like, I can't do this. And Jason comes in and he's like, yes, you can, Mindy. You just got to make it to the end of the day. I'm like, my mascara is going to start running. I can't let them see that I'm so tired. I just want to like lie on the ground and fall asleep. So we have to be thoughtful. And I knew going into this week that it was going to be incredibly difficult and challenging. But I think what I did not do well was really say no to a couple of opportunities or push dates and move things around. I think sometimes we have this sense of obligation that we have to deliver, it's our reputation on the line, especially for those of us who are more in the public eye, or we're subject matter experts, or we're consultants or freelancers, or somebody that just holds a very high position. And we are interacting with a lot of people. And so we feel like there's a lot on the line for us if we don't show up. And so I think it's really being very strategic about what we can and cannot do and how much of that we can actually handle in a week. And I am raising my hand here. You can't see it. But I am the worst at saying yes to all the things and just assuming that I can willpower my way through it, that I'm a rock star. I can just pep myself up. I'll drink 3 things of coffee and call it good. And that's just not the best recipe. And so this week was a reminder. And my partner, Jason, said the same. He's like, Mindy, I told you. I'm like, I know, but I just didn't want to listen. I'm like, I couldn't pass up these opportunities. I knew it was going to be a tough week. But it was just too much. And so when that happens, though, here's the kicker. Sometimes we just let it happen and then we let it happen again and again and again. And it just keeps repeating the same pattern. So the important part here is actually taking that experience, whatever your experience is. It may be different than mine. It may be similar to mine. But when we notice that we are burned out or that we are pushing too hard or that it is just too much for us, we have to stop. And we have to say enough is enough, and we have to set boundaries. Yes, we may have to follow through on some things because there just is no way out. We gave our word and we really have to keep our word. Sometimes we can act in integrity and honor our word, which is saying, I'm sorry, I overcommitted. We need to reschedule. Or my health is suffering because of this. We need to reschedule. So I think being really thoughtful, then moving forward about how much we can actually handle in a week without breaking, without going nuts on our family and friends because we're so stressed out or tired, I think is so, so critical. And it contributes to our lifestyle. And so I sat down with my partner, Jason. I said, he is so wise sometimes. I just get excited and I want to do all the things. And I said, okay, I can't do this. I said, this is not smart. I did not play my cards right. And moving forward, help me figure out a way that I can actually get a break and build in some breathers. And so we talked about it. And I thought he had some really, really good advice. So we live on the North, just providing a little context for those of you who don't know me. We live on the North Shore of Oahu. So we live in Hawaii and we surf a lot. So on the North Shore, we have waves most of the year. But in the summertime, we do not have waves. So we actually have to travel south. I know it sounds funny. If you don't know the island, you're like, south for what? So we have to travel south. So we have to go to Waikiki. So you've probably heard of Waikiki, Honolulu. We call it town. So we have to go to town to actually catch waves and surf. So the timing is interesting, right? Because the kids are out of school. It's like, okay, we've got to keep the kids busy. I need a breather. And so we talked through some ideas and said, okay, we're going to set a summertime schedule. 3 days a week during the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We are going to go to town as a family and we are going to surf 3 times a week. We're going to commit to it. We're going to spend time with the family. We can work while we're at the beach, but we're going to spend the whole day at the beach, work from the beach. They have great Wi-Fi and internet is not a problem, but that does require me to drastically change how I've been doing business and how I've been working and the types of clients and projects I can take on. And so for me, it was a really, really big commitment. And Jason said, Mindy, what are your values? He said, what are your priorities? Yes, we need to grow your business, but your business isn't going anywhere. If you decide to go to the beach for a few days, he said, you're living in alignment with your lifestyle. And you prioritize surfing. Surfing is one of the top things in my life vision. I want to surf every day. And whatever that takes, it's like I got to surf every day. I have to be in touch with the ocean. I have to ground. I have to earth. The waves may be great, the waves may be sucky, but I am surfing every day and I'm committed to being a surfer and living that lifestyle. And business, I'm committed to being a business person too. So how do those actually work together to create a lifestyle by design, even when sometimes they feel that they are conflicting? So it's really figuring out how to make very smart decisions, because it wouldn't be smart for me to just say, well, screw my business, I'm just going to go surf every day and be a surf bum. Obviously, that would not be a good idea. There goes my business. There goes my reputation, all that hard work. But then again, I don't want to be that person that is always working 80 hours a week, never has time for fun. And she's doing it because she's trying to be a martyr or build her business faster. And I think the balance is critical, and we have to figure out what that balance looks like for us as individuals. So I committed, I did it. So if you are trying to get on my calendar in the summertime when the kids are out of school on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's probably not going to happen. So you got to shoot for the Tuesdays and Thursdays, just so you know my calendar schedule. So this is going to be an experiment that I want to run, and the kids are only out of school for 8 weeks, so it's not like I'm doing this forever. But I'm curious to see the benefits, and I bet you that I'm going to be surprised with the outcome, and that despite my feeling that I'm not working as hard because I'm not standing in front of my desk for 10, 12 hours a day at home, I bet things are going to start taking off as a result of that. Why? It's because of that alignment. It's because I'm living in alignment with my values. I'm having fun. So the time that I am standing at my desk in front of people, I'm going to feel recharged. So whatever, I just want you to feel that sense of inspiration and liberation. You can make decisions that serve you even if there is no monetary outcome. That's the hard part for me, especially as a business person, because I am so intent on growing my business. It's never good enough. It doesn't matter. It's never good enough, right? It's like 20K months, not good enough. 30K, 40K, 50K, it's not good enough. And so we have to remind ourselves that we are not a dollar item. We are not a line item. We need to prioritize our lifestyle. And when we do, the side effect of that is usually career growth, professional growth, personal growth. Sometimes we are going to go through hard times. It's not saying that everything is sunshine, rainbows, and roses. It's saying that we are deserving of an awesome lifestyle. I want you to think about that for a moment. Like deserving. You deserve more than you are giving your lifestyle right now. You deserve to have an incredible lifestyle. That lifestyle doesn't have to look like mine, doesn't have to look like your neighbors, doesn't have to look like your friends, or some celebrity, or personality, or personal brand. It's yours. And what type of lifestyle do you want to have? How can you take one small step towards creating that lifestyle? Can you say no to something that is not serving you? Can you take your schedule and actually look at it and say, okay, I've got to say no to a couple things here. This is not working for me. And I know I may disappoint some people, but I come first. And how I grew up, it was the opposite of that. Everyone else came first. You always came last. So for me, it took a long, long time to figure out how to prioritize myself without, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be hard to deal with. It's more about, okay, I also need to take care of myself. And how does that fit into the scheme of things? So if we want an amazing lifestyle, we have to pay attention to how we live every single day and how these days actually map back to our overarching lifestyle goals. All right. So we have to live each day with intention, in alignment, and then these days all add up to reach our lifestyle goals. So when something doesn't fit, we have to figure out a better way to get it done that does align. Sometimes we just got to ditch it altogether. Sometimes we have to find another option. There's always going to be a constant tug of war between us creating the lifestyle we really want and those obligations or things that people tell us we have to do. So with that in mind, how are you going to deal with that tug of war? How are you going to make those decisions that are actually going to lead you closer to your lifestyle versus just keeping everybody else happy? Are you going to fall into that default pattern? Or are you going to break the pattern? What does that look like? You really cannot build someone else's lifestyle by design. This is your life. You don't let people tell you how you should or could or need to live a life that they envision for you. No matter how much we want to live someone else's life, it's not going to be a total fit. And when they tell us things that we need to do, we have to take that into consideration, say thank you for that feedback, but this is where I'm headed. This is where I'm going. And I think it's also really important for us to remember not to just try and copy other people's lifestyles. Like, I don't want people to look at our lifestyle and go, oh, I want to have a lifestyle just like that. What do you do, Mindy? Every day I'm going to copy all of that and I will get the same results. That's not going to work for you. You have to think about what lifestyle you want. And you have to stop trying to copy and you have to start creating. It's a completely different mindset. You are not plagiarizing someone else's life. You are creating your own lifestyle in a way that feels good to you, that feels in alignment, and it will change over time. That is something that I know is constant for me, is what I want right now. It's going to change. 5 years from now, it's going to be completely different. If you would have asked me 5 years ago if I wanted to live in Hawaii and surf every day and be a part of North Shore Oahu culture, I would have laughed so hard. Oh, I would have laughed so hard. So you're nuts. You're crazy. Like, I'm living in Indiana, in the middle of the Midwest. I just want to have a nice house, have all the things, all the trappings. I want to be financially secure and work out a lot. And okay, that didn't really happen because my days, when I started becoming in more alignment with my true desires and really tapping into my gut, my intuition, and paying attention to what was going to work for my family and for me long term, I made decisions that led us here. And do I regret them? Not at all. It's amazing. It's incredible. But I never could have foreseen this. So you have to start with creating those days by design, because they will lead you to that lifestyle by design. It may or may not look how you envision it, but it's going to be awesome regardless of how it looks. And I feel like this is very much like the mango tree metaphor that we like to talk about here. It's the mangoes. I'll actually tell you about the mangoes right now. So the mangoes on our tree are little baby mangoes right now. They're so cute. They're probably about that. You could hold them in the palm of your hand. They're pretty tiny. They're a little bit rosy red, so you can see that they're not all just green anymore. and they're starting to kind of hang from the tree. A few of them are falling on the ground, so the chickens get all excited. And it's super fun just to watch, I think, the tree blossom and grow. And I feel like our lives are very much like a mango tree. It's like they start with a little seed, little sapling, and it sprouts and it grows, and then it kind of leads to more and more fruits. Then we have branches, and we have bountiful mangoes everywhere. But it starts very, very small. It starts with the seed. It starts with our days. And that days, they lead to those awesome weeks. They lead to those awesome months, then years, decades. And before we know it, it's like, wow, my life is incredible. I never imagined I would have gotten here. So where are you feeling misalignment in your schedule right now? What's your ideal day look like? If you want some inspiration, you can listen to episode 12 where I talk about my ideal day. And how does your ideal day lead to your lifestyle by design? Like, what are some things you actually want to weave into it so you can live in more alignment? I would love to hear your stories. Tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about one thing that you like. Tell me one thing you're trying to change, whatever you want to talk about lifestyle-wise. DM me on Instagram at Mango Effect Podcast to share your take. And I'm also on TikTok. I'm getting there. Very slowly but surely, I'm on TikTok too. Just look up at Mango Effect Podcast. And let's encourage and inspire each other. Talk with your family, talk with a friend about this concept. When we start sharing with each other about what we envision for our lifestyle, first of all, it actually solidifies in our mind. It helps us use our words to clarify what we want. It helps us to get feedback. And it also, we are being very vulnerable when we're sharing. And so I think there's something very powerful in sharing your lifestyle by design or your vision with a friend, a family member, or somebody that you trust. So that's my challenge to you this week. Share your lifestyle by design with one person. Let me know how that goes. All right. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the Mango Effect Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. I'm here every single week. I'd be absolutely thrilled if you could write a 5-star review for the show. If you love it, we are a new show, so any reviews and subscribes we get will definitely help us as we grow. I will talk to you in the next episode. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye for now.